The LED ring perfectly lit and reflected in her eyes as her webcast started. She had spent the better part of the day primping and preparing herself to do a vlog about this topic. One of them had finally been caught, and the punishment was about to be instant and swift. She was so glad that she would be one of the first to do a reaction to this trending topic. A member of the resistance was to be executed publicly. Molly did a last-minute check of her lips, puckering them in the camera, before putting a last quick coat of lip gloss and finally checking her perfectly curled pink locks. She was ready. She smoothed out the wrinkles in her top and began. Today is a day to be remembered. A member of the fundamentalist religious group. The resistance was to be brought to justice. None of this would, of course, be possible without the inspirational leadership of State Consul Gaius Novum. His swift enactment of the California Safety Act has empowered the police to fill the role of both judge and executor. Now let's watch the punishment of these reprobates. Molly's eyes lit with glee as when she watched her favorite makeup tutorial. A man was led out. His face was calm and serene, resigned to his fate. A black hood was placed over his head and his ankles shackled to an electronic lift. Slowly, while bound, he was lifted by his ankles until he was upside down. Then came the knife out as the enforcement officer split open the terrorist belly and with a hook in his other hands began to pull out the intestines of the resistance member. Kaylee, another vlogger, was asking if the execution was too generous for these terrorists. She commented, "These people are subhuman. They lost all their human rights when they joined this cult that have caused so many of the problems we face here in California. The drought, the blackouts, the rioting, and robberies were all caused by these anarchists who refused to acknowledge the extraordinary measures the State Consul Gaius Novum had imposed to ensure safety and law and order." Joe looked at the vlogs with disbelief. What had the world come to? These two women were seething demons licking their lips for blood. Joe remembered a time when this state had freedom under the Constitution. Today, if you said the word rights, they accused you of being part of the resistance and enemy of the state. Joe marveled that a leader that was once up for recall could go on to become the perpetual leader of a newly formed country. Such was the reality he lived in. "Mr. Deguchi, we are ready for you." Joe looked up from his coffee, straightened his tie, and buttoned up his brown coat. Looking down at him was a 20-something receptionist with green hair and yellow fingernails. She led him down a well-furnished corridor with photos of the current social media stars and the classics which Nextcast helped to promote and distribute. The rich and famous lined either side of the hall, and Joe was a bit taken aback that they were interested in his obscure little vlog. Yet here he was. He had spent the past 10 years cultivating a very loyal and niche fan base. He did his best to explain the time before the Republic of California. He entered an office where the program director, Zuck Markenberg, was behind his desk with his personal assistant. "Hey Mo, nice to meet you." He held out his hand that was inside a very sanitized rubber glove. Joe took his hand and shook it. The what, he hoped, was sanitizing gel coated the inside of his palms. "The name is Joe. Thank you, Mr. Markenberg. It's nice to meet—" No, call me the Zuck man. My old man is Mr. Markenberg." He interrupted while cupping the chin of his personal assistant who sat in his lap. "Apologies, Fro. Hey, let's not waste any more time. We love your little show, The Skeptical Partisan. It's unique, something that is not seen today. We totally want to add you to the Nextcast family. We have prepared a very generous package for you." The Zuck handed his robotic assistant a tablet with the contract. The robotic assistant sauntered over to the chair that Joe sat in. She then knelt down to sit in his lap and handed him the tablet and looked deeply in his eyes with her digital eyes. Joe tried to, with little success, to hide his discomfort to have the attractive android sit in his lap and look at him so provocatively. Joe turned his attention to the contract. The first thing he noticed was the pay was 1/8 what the usual contract should have been. Also, several notes below it stated, all his content would be reviewed by Nextcast and edited to be conformed to the standards that are acceptable to the Californian Republic. Basically, Zuck's contract gave them complete control over everything. Joe felt insulted, as he strived always to follow the letter of the law, but allowing some freedom as to not be completely wed to the neoliberal fascism that was mandated from Sacramento. His viewers knew that he would be honest to the truth despite the cost. It was something they had come to expect from him. The pay had dashed all hopes that Joe had to buy a home and get his father a place where he could plant a garden. A dream he had had his entire life and faithfully saved seeds for over 85 years. Zuck, this contract is very generous to your company. This is not what you offer most of your popular vloggers. Look, Mo, you're almost 45 years old. Your economic viability is on the wane. This is all you can expect from someone of your age and your political persuasion. In fact, we feel this offer is a little too generous, given your tendency to occasionally reflect badly on what the consul and his cabinet enact to maintain order. We all need to do our part to help our country through this current chaos. Zuck, thank you for the offer, but... Shamo, look, let's not get hasty around here. Why don't you take a few days to think about it? We can work with you on the particulars. Just think you could have millions of followers instead of hundreds. Not to mention the sponsorships this could bring you. Joe swallowed his pride, swiped the offer from the tablet and sent it to his email. The android walked back over and sat in Zuck's lap and began to coo as his full attention turned to her. Pressing a button, the almond-eyed receptionist appeared and took Joe back to the elevator. Joe thought of his last vid call with his sister. She had told him that he needed to leave California and come to the East where freedom was still held sacred, where people still had rights. She offered him a place to live and wanted her father to live with them as well. The only thing holding him back was Joe's reluctance to take the vaccine. Even though his sister was in a state where the vaccine was not mandatory, she had consumed much of the propaganda that his country put out in the world. There was a slavish devotion to eradicating COVID-19. Another reservation Joe had, being 44 and single, and being brought low to the level of living with his older sister, made him uneasy. He came to California to make something of himself, to be independent. He wanted to be the one to help her and provide, not grovel and be a burden to her or their aging father. Joe felt like a failure. The elevator started to descend. A 44-year-old single man living with his father and older sister. Yes, real marriage material. His mind mocked him. Joe took a Lyft Air car home. The android driver prepared for takeoff, and his programming was beginning to ask inane questions about Joe's day. Using its algorithm, it discovered he had a vlog. The android commented that it must be honored to be considered to potentially be a Nextcast vlogger. Joe A. rolled his eyes and stated rather abruptly, "Computer and sociability algorithm." The last thing he wanted was to talk to a second-rate AI about the particulars of the insulting deal Nextcast had just offered. What seemed to have been such exciting possibility seemed to crumble before his eyes as his mind melted to self-pity and dejection. The computer voice piped in. "We apologize for the inconvenience, but we regret to inform you that the route chosen has high air traffic congestion. The ride will be delayed by 45 minutes. If you wish to end ride, please press the land command button." As if the day could get any worse now, air traffic. Joe decided to bear the delay and be prisoner to his thoughts and the annoying air car for the next 45 minutes. The Lyft Air landed gently, and the android pilot cheerfully explained it was a pleasure to be of service. "Have a great day, Joe," the android chirped. Joe walked to the front of his building, a large black rectangle of glass and steel. Putting his hand on the black glass, the building scanned his handprint. "Welcome home, Joe Deguchi, resident of apartment 707. As Joe walked in, He looked back outside through the one-sided glass of the building to see a blue jay get caught in the propellers of a surveillance drone. The poor bird was instantly chopped to sashimi. Joe toyed with the idea of doing a vlog about how these public safety threat surveillance/crime/prevention drones were. A nuisance and real threat to both human and wildlife. Maybe the eco-green might lobby the consul's cabinet for some changes. Maybe he could effect the restoration of privacy using the excuse of bird and insect welfare. Joe bemoaned that he even had to use such a pretense as this to effect real change for what should be a very basic human right. But the flora, fauna, and wildlife had much more freedom than most humans nowadays. Sometimes Joe wished he did not have to put up with this nonsense of the age he found himself trapped. He was ready to leave this demented nightmare country behind. But the allure of grasping the golden ring of vlogging stardom was a powerful vortex that continued to pull Joe to a hope beyond hope he could make it. "Joe, is that you, son?" Jim was Joe's father, a remarkably spry man for his age of 85. He seemed to stop aging at 60 and was still all there.
Hey, Pops.
"So did you get the offer? Are we moving to the beach home like all the other stars?" Joe brought up the contract on his pad and handed it to his father. "They must be kidding. You can barely afford this apartment with the kind of money they are offering you." "Well, I guess it's not within his plans for us to have that garden this year." "It's not like we would have enough money to pay for the water anyway, Pop." "Chin up, son. The Lord will provide. Just be content with what He has given you, and everything will work out. By the way, did you hear what Gaius Novum has done today?" "No, what has our glorious consul come up with today?" "All children who are from families that have had a divorce are to become wards of the state, which means they will be taught about societal tolerance." "You mean 88% of families in this country will be taught to cross-dress and be forced to choose which gender they can identify as?" "Yes, I mean this man is like an Dad, come on. The surveillance drones have very sensitive microphones they will hear." "I don't care if they hear me. I have lived long enough in this backwards, morally bankrupt supposed utopia. They can take their gentle society and shove it." "Dad, I have had a hell of a day. Can we not go through this now? I don't want to see them take you away." "Come on, boy, let's leave and go live with your sister. At least there we can practice our faith and talk about it without it being called out as hate speech." "I wish we could, Dad. But you know Rachel believes in the COVID-19 vaccines and thinks I am a conspiracy monger. She won't let me live with her." "Son, you know you don't belong here. These people are against everything you believe, but yet you so desperately want them to approve of you." It's not just the dad. I hope that some might listen, and perhaps they would see why we need to repeal the Christian Hate Act of 2073. You're living a pipe dream, kid, that will never happen in this cesspool. They have a politically expedient scapegoat in the form of the Christians. We should leave before it's too late. The vidcom glared and saved Joe from further debate. It was his neighbor Nelson. "Hello, Joe. How did the next cast interview go?" "It's a long story, Nelson." "Well, hey, Joe. Katie and I made a rhubarb casserole. Why don't you and your father come over for dinner? I have a business proposition." Joe looked over to his father, who gave him a not a chance in hell look. "Dad is feeling tired, but I will be over in 30 minutes. "Sounds great, Joe. See you then." Joe took off his suit and put on some comfortable clothes. He wondered what Nelson had in mind. Nelson had a lucrative contract, making cartoon vlogs for Nextcast's competitor Yensid Inc. Hope was rekindled. Perhaps they could come up with a marketable idea. Joe once again thought about the little garden they could plant with all those seeds his father had saved. If there was no water rationing, they would have had a splendid garden that would be the envy of some of the most elite garden vloggers. Katie answered the door. Her brownish auburn hair smoothed back into a bun on top her head. Her smile made Joe feel at ease. She had such a lovely demeanor. "So, Joe, we are so glad you joined us tonight. I made a casserole of the rhubarb we grew. We use so much of our water rations. I am hoping it's good. But I bet it's sure to be better than the state nutritional ration. I hope it's not too good. I would hate to gain any weight my health monitor would report me, and my rations would be cut according to the Obesity and Health Act. Katie shook her head. She always could tell when Joe was being facetious. Joe, you worry too much sometimes. You must enjoy your life instead of agonizing over every detail of it. Joe let his guard down and smiled at Katie. Your laissez-faire attitude always amazes me, Katie. Joe, so good to see you, bro. Welcome, welcome. Care for a cocktail? Nelson stopped himself, knowing that Joe no longer drank. You know what, Nelson? I will have a glass Polosian wine if you have it. Nelson was shocked. Of course, everything all right, buddy? Nelson, not really. The offer from Nextcast is bullshit. They want creative control of my vlogs for a ridiculously low amount of money. They say my economic viability is low. Nelson poured wine from a car-shaped wine bottle. Well, what do you expect from the Zuck? He has no idea what it is to create. All that shyster knows how to do his smother, market, and bastardize. Well, Joe, don't worry, I have a proposition you might enjoy. Nelson handed a glass of Polosian wine to Joe. You see, Yensid Production has given me full control of a new project. It's to be a comedy to mock those cake eaters. Cake eaters, you mean Christians? Come on, Joe. Not in my home, their official name is the Resistance. I see, well, Joe, I have watched your vlogs, you have a great voice. I could use you as the main character, Detective Varys. Joe took a sip from his wine. His conscience was heavy on him, he should witness to them. These cannibal resistance members eat the living cake, right? Well, your character comes up with a way to track this underground cult using new technology. Joe's conscience pleaded to him. Tell them the sacramental bread is a memorial for Jesus. It is his body to remind of his sacrifice for everyone's sins. His rational mind reminded him that if he revealed that he was Christian, they could report him to the authorities as a resistor. Katie interrupted. Boys, dinner is ready. Shall we eat? They sat around the table, and she dished out the fresh casserole to each. Joe, tell me what you think of my offer. I really think you would fit the character well. Name your price. $760,000 a year and 5%? Come on, guys, please eat before it gets cold. Enough business for now. Nelson, let our guest enjoy our hospitality before you bombard him with business. Money is not the only thing. Sometimes being a good host is more important than a good negotiator. Of course, dear. You are right, he is our guest first. Joe felt relief and started to eat the food, and was enraptured how well Katie could cook anything. Then a loud series of bursts broke the silence of the evening. Nelson touched the wall, and the walls became transparent. They all looked outside through the walls of the apartment and the building. A stream of bullets flew up to a surveillance drone and hit the mark. The drone started to fly erratically and came crashing down a few feet from the complex. All of them were stunned. A few seconds later, a CRPD airship was right by the building. The airship circled and then started to burst rounds all around the complex, shooting at the suspect who downed the drone. Then the airship turned its turrets to the building and bullets flew all through the building. All three took cover under the table. As bullets ricochet all through the building, screams could be heard coming through the whole building. Joe was terrified, but thought of his father and was worried. While bullets were still flying into the building, Joe ran to his unit. Dad! Dad! Don't worry, son, I'm okay, just shook up. His father was drenched with sweat. The scene was bleak. Outside the building, several vloggers were outside doing their stories about how the resistance had performed a terrorist attack on this housing unit. A blue-haired teen with 100 piercings spoke about the human carnage. 13 dead and 27 wounded by this senseless attack on innocent civilians. This more than ever demonstrates how important it is to report those who still hold onto personal firearms. They must be reported for the greater good. It's these selfish gun worshippers that enable these cake-eating zealots. This has gone on far too long. If you know anyone you suspect, you need to contact the California Republic Police Force. They are the only people who should have arms. Nearly all other vloggers parroted this line, and the narrative was unquestioned. The reality was, the CRPD had overreacted to a drone being shot down. There was no terrorist action, it was all just another lie. For a split second as Joe watched the lies, he thought about vlogging the truth. But he knew it would be censored, and his whole channel would be banned and erased. After helping Mr. Garcia lift his wife into an automated EMS lift, Joe looked at his father. "You finally ready, son? How many more lies will you bury to raise up your career?"
You are right, Dad. Let's make for the border. I'll start packing.
"We don't need much, son. Grab the seeds in our fire safe. Forget the rest, we don't need the rest of this trash." "Well, hopefully we can get through the Arizona wasteland. A lot of raiders and highwaymen there." "Son, don't worry, we have some protection." Joe looked knowingly at his father and went to their garage and started to pack what they needed into his solar car. On a very run-down highway, a small solar car sped along. Inside, Joe looked to his dad, and for the first time he was excited about the potential danger of their trip. The wasteland stood between them and his sister. Yes, the border would be watched, and they would have to go off-road and take their chances when they reached the border. But finally, they would have some freedom which they had so desperately missed. They had just passed the spires of Sokol City when an airship swooped down and trained its guns on the solar car. "Son, just so you know, I love you and I'm so proud you tried to leave this place. Whatever happens, know you will always be my son." The CRPD grabbed Joe and Jim and took Jim to the airship. A man walked over to Joe and introduced himself. "Joe Deguchi. Nice to finally meet you. I'm Detective Veras. So, tell me a little bit about the leader of the resistance, Elijah N." "What are you talking about? Is this a joke? Aren't you a cartoon?" Cultists always deny reality. "Tell me when your father ate the cake. We know everything. The ring around his eyes gave him away a month ago." "Ring around his eyes? Are you retarded? That is because of his cholesterol, not because he ate human flesh?" "No, Mr. Deguchi, your father ate a cake made from human flesh. Brains, we suspect, to be specific, just like all the Christians cultists do." "Look, detective, you might be disappointed, but that is a lie. Christians eat unleavened bread. It's a memorial for the sacrifice of Christ." "Look, spare me your brainwashed delusion of a benevolent God that loves everyone. Does this world look like a work of a God of love? No, you people in the name of utopia have turned this world into a nightmare." "Well, Mr. Deguchi, if you don't start being helpful, you may have to wake up then. Elijah N., who is he? And when does the resistance meet and where?" "You have the wrong guy, I am a vlogger. I am not hooked up with your imagined resistance. Have it your way. I guess you will finally get your wish. You want to be a vlogging star with millions of likes and comments? Let me help you." Joe was handcuffed. He was brought out to a raised dais. Joe prayed that his father was all right, prayed that he would be shown mercy considering his age. Detective Veras stood before a group of some of the most famous vloggers. "Today we are here to witness justice. Today the son of the second in command of the resistance will finally be brought to justice for his murder and mayhem. We found him when his father shot down a surveillance drone after the Sokol massacre last night. The gun found in the solar car matched the ammunition used in the shooting last night. They tried to flee the state with their ancient NRA firearms. Joe had been shackled by his feet. They connected a hook to his ankles. The whir of the electric motor muffled the protest of Joe as he was lifted off the ground by his ankles and suspended upside down. The CRPD officer took out a long knife and plunged it into Joe's stomach. A hook dug deep into his stomach. They pulled out his intestines. Joe had finally achieved what he chased all his life. His final moments went viral.
them.